Hello and welcome to another episode of Film Etiquette. Today we are going to be shooting a roll of the highly anticipated Film Ferrania P30. This is the alpha run, so it's not the final product, kind of like a beta test. But I've been seeing some stuff online and it's looking pretty cool, so I'm excited to shoot it. We're going to be doing it in my trusty Canon A-1. So the Canon A-1 is what I would consider a prosumer film SLR. A lot of people have shot the Canon AE1 program, and this is kind of like the big brother to that camera. So some things that kind of set this camera apart from a lot of the other average 35mm SLRs, such as Pentax K1000, Nikon FM series. It has an ISO range of 6 to 12,800. It's also got exposure compensation plus or minus 2 stops. It has a full program mode, so you can go complete auto and just snap away. It has shutter priority and also aperture priority. Aperture priority is pretty cool to see on a 35mm SLR. I know that there's a lot of them that don't have that, and sometimes I really enjoy just having to set my aperture and let the camera figure out the rest. Some other features of the A1, there is actually a little switch here, and if you pop it in before you advance to the next frame, it will trick the camera into thinking that it's advanced and cock the shutter so you can do double, triple, quadruple exposures, whatever you want. Doesn't matter, you can keep going with it. Something else that's kind of really nifty about this camera is there's a little switch here on the back, and if you turn it, it actually moves a little window across your viewfinder. When I first got the camera, I kind of didn't really think there'd be a good use for that. But then as I thought about it more, I realized it would be really good for things like star trails, astrophotography, really long exposures, because when you're doing those longer exposures, you can actually get a little bit of light leak in when your mirror is flipped up. So this kind of gets rid of that. Some other interesting things, we have a switch to turn the meter on and off. So if you're, super pro, you can turn your meter off and do Sunny 16, save some battery. A couple other little neat features. It's got this little slide here so you can cover your shutter speed wheel so you don't accidentally bump it, change your shutter speeds. On the bottom, we have the ability to hook up an auto winder. I've never used one, I probably never will, but I've seen some people put it on their kit, so that's cool. We also have a PC socket here, so you can sync your flash up real nice. And then it also, for your regular hot shoe on top, I believe it syncs at a 60th of a second. That's normal sync time for flash. So yeah, I've got a Canon FD 1.2 on here, and the combo is pretty nice. I get some really sharp pictures. 1.2, you can get pretty low light. And we also have shutter speeds from 1,000 all the way down to 30 seconds. So that's a pretty wide range, gives you a lot of flexibility. And there's also bulb, of course. You can screw in your shutter release, go to town. There is a stop down button here. That serves 2 purposes. Number 1, it gives you your depth of field preview, and also if you have one of the older Canon FL lenses, this actually is how you would meter with those. I'm not sure why, but for whatever reason you can't meter wide open with those lenses, so you stop down and take your meter reading that way. So yeah, Canon A1, this is a really solid camera. If you can get your hands on one, I definitely recommend shooting with it. They can be had for a good price, and yeah, they're fun, they're good cameras, so check it out. For those of you who don't know, there's a lot of history with the company Film Ferrania. And I'm not gonna go into all of that. If you wanna check it out, I will link the website below and you can give it all a read. But basically, they were a big film company a long time ago. They're based out of Italy. They went defunct at a certain point, and now, thanks to a great group of backers, they are back making film again. So the P30 is a resurrected black and white film stock that I believe was originally a motion picture film stock. So you have some really interesting characteristics from this film. Number one, it's 80 ISO, so you get a super fine grain. It's almost kind of creamy, the way the highlights sit on top of everything, and you get a really interesting look. It's not inherently a high contrast film, but in a high contrast scene, you'll definitely get the contrast. This film has a really high silver content in it. And as a result, some of your blacks may look really chromy, but to me, I thought that this was pretty cool. And generally, the film has a pretty nice tonal range. It's not too contrasty, it's not too flat. So this is the alpha release of the film, which is kind of like a beta version. I know they're planning on getting a actual release out soon, but when they released the alpha version, they were so overloaded that it actually took a long time for them to get all the film out. But if you were lucky enough to get some, then hopefully you've shot it and you see that things are looking pretty bright for Ferrania. This film is really sharp. This is really nice film. Hopefully you guys can get some when they come out with the actual release, and we'll see what Ferrania has in store for us in the future. Thanks for joining us for another episode of Film Etiquette. Don't forget to subscribe and like. Definitely leave comments and questions, and we'll see you next time.